I know the FIBA World Cup, it's not for everybody, but Canada has been absolutely dominant at the tournament. And if you've been following basketball for a very long time, that is a rare sight to see. So, what I want to cover here is all of the information you need to know about Canada at the World Cup so far and potentially where they could go from here. Very exciting times for Canadian basketball. This is just like, you just don't see this. Like, if you're in your early 20s like me, like, you just do not see this. If you're a younger fan, you know it's been kind of brewing for a little bit here, but especially if you're older than me, you understand like how significant it is that Canada have such a talented team right now, such a talented roster, and such a talented roster of players willing to go play at these FIBA tournaments, because there's all these times where it's like, wow, what an amazing team that we could assemble here, and then people don't show up to the tournament. And we're not the US where, okay, the USA's like C team, D team can dominate the FIBA World Cup. Canada can't really do that, but a lot of their talented players are here right now, including Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's been absolutely tearing it up at the World Cup. Fortunately, one of the players who did not show up is Jamal Murray. He was kind of on the fence about it, but ultimately he decided not to play in the tournament, which really, really frustrates me because he's healthy enough to do so. You know, he's not like in a contract year or anything. I get he went far in the NBA final. He's an NBA champion. He went far in the playoffs this year, but like, there are other guys who are willing to play for their teams. And I didn't like the quote when he said it's his dream to play at the Olympics. And the FIBA World Cup, if you don't know, is a way to qualify for the Olympics. So he's saying, yeah, you guys go qualified. I'd love to go play when you guys do qualify for the Olympics, if you do qualify for the Olympics, but I'm not going to help you do that, which is really annoying. And it kind of sucks because there's guys who seriously grind for the Canadian national team who qualify for these events and then never play in any of the big events. So it's kind of sad to see that's the state of it, but that's just the reality. Regardless, Canada have assembled a pretty good team of NBA caliber players that are here, and the guys who are not NBA players are complementing the team very well and understand the FIBA game a lot more. So like today, for specifically, Canada beat Latvia, and the game was tough early on. Latvia were hitting a ton of threes, but an adjustment was made. We go smaller, we do less switching, we do less helping off the ball, and bringing in a real nomad when it comes to European basketball and everywhere he's played. We brought in Melvin Ejim, if that's how you say it, and he was terrific as a small ball five for the Canadian national team. So ultimately, if you guys haven't been following what Canada have been doing, they kind of struggled out of the gate in their games leading up to the World Cup. They took a few games to get going, but once they got going and comfortable with each other, understanding their roles, things got cooking, and they have been likely the most impressive team at the World Cup so far. Game 1 against France. France and Canada were the second and third highest favorites to win the tournament. Behind the USA were obvious favorites, but Canada and France were considered to be the second and third best team in the tournament. France were favored for this game, and it was a very, very tight first half. Canada had a real struggle out of the gates, and once they settled in, they brought it back by halftime. The second half, they absolutely obliterated an extremely talented and storied FIBA team in France who do very well at these tournaments. That was the statement that the Canadians wanted to make about, hey, like, we're serious this time. But then it got maybe not better, but they maintained unbelievable levels, beating Lebanon. Lebanon's not a good team, but beating them by 55 points. My goodness. And then playing Latvia today. It was a tough game. It was a tight game. Latvia were out to a 10-point lead early on, but Canada made the halftime adjustments and ended up winning the game by 26 points. Point differential can be a key part of this tournament, and Canada had a point differential in these three games of plus 110. An average win margin of, 37 or so points, 36 points. It truly is remarkable to see how far this country has come in my lifetime as a nation. And it's just so fun to see and so fun to be a fan of this team right now, supporting them at the FIBA World Cup. So who have been the key performers here? Well, pretty much it has been the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander show, particularly in third quarters. Every game Canada has played in, other than the Lebanon game, has been pretty tight at half. And then Shai comes out in the third quarter and just dominates. He's averaging 22 points here, averaging 55% shooting from the field. Like when Canada need big buckets, like some NBA guys struggle at FIBA with the additional physicality, less free throw calls, smaller court, less spacing, no three in the key calls on defense. You can play full zone defense there. He's not struggling, and he's making an absolute mockery of some of the players out there on the court. He feels like right at home here. He is just a pure hooper. And, like I said about, him kind of embarrassing players, here's a video from today. Latvia, I didn't like, I get they were the underdogs, but they were talking a little bit of too much shit for my liking. And Shai did a good job of kind of settling this Latvian player down here. Ooh, taking a little bit of ankles, and this guy almost walked his ass all the way back to Latvia here on that Shai step back. I mean, credit to him, he didn't fall over, but my goodness, I can hear the buckle from here. This guy's marching all the way back home, and Shai obviously knocks down the jumper to go along with it. So Shai has been quite a dominant performer here. Dillon Brooks, I gotta say, as much as I don't particularly love Dillon Brooks, he always felt to me like a player you would like you'd hate to play against but love on your team. And Brooks hasn't been talking too much shit, hasn't been talking much at all, going about his business, not really putting up insane numbers, but he has looked tremendous in his role for this team. And Houston have a good one. Maybe they paid a little bit too much, but Houston have a good one there. In the starting five, along with Brooks, has been Barrett, Olynyk, who's looked really good. He's captain of Team Canada here. Dwight Powell has looked great. I've been a little bit surprised there. And even Nickeil Alexander-Walker has been producing some great stuff for the Canadians here. When they need some big points, it feels like he's stepping up, and he's averaging just under 13 points per game. So those have been the key performers. Barrett's looked solid as well, though he is really struggling from the free throw line, and we saw that today. But yeah, Canada have done a very good job with their team here. And it's just a lot of people buying into their specific roles. And I really have to give a lot of credit to Jordi Fernandez, the Canadian national team head coach. So if you've been following any of my channels for a period of time, obviously a big story for the Raptors this summer was the head coaching saga. Who are the Raptors going to hire to replace Nick Nurse? They ended up going, of course, with Darko Rajakovic. But leading up to that decision, my number one candidate to take the position for a very long time, not my number one, but one of my top picks to take over for Nick Nurse for a very long time was Jordi Fernandez. It eventually got to the point where I was pretty close to saying he was my favorite. I still like Jerry Stackhouse quite a bit, but Jordi Fernandez was very high on my list, and for very good reason, because he is doing a remarkable job here. The adjustments he made at half helped the Canadians really take over against the Latvians. Canada trailed, so they're 10-minute quarters. Canada trailed in the first half, 19 minutes and 59 seconds, and then they never looked back and absolutely ran away in the second half. But they trailed the entire first half, except for the last second. But second half, they made the adjustments, and Jordi Fernandez was a big part of that. And he's just doing a great job of making adjustments, putting the team out there to succeed, and getting players to buy into his coaching and buy into their roles with the team, which is great to see. And I won't go as far as to say, we should have hired this guy. I haven't seen Darko Rajakovic coach, but good gracious, if this is what Jordi Fernandez is as a head coach, he's the current associate head coach, by the way, of the Sacramento Kings. If this is like what I've been seeing with Jordi, and I've been seeing great things in the NBA as well, he ran that amazing Kings offense this season. Darko's got a lot to live up to this year to make me not think like, hey, damn, did we really pass up on this guy? So, I mean, I got faith in Darko Rajakovic. It's just, man, Jordi Fernandez also would have been an excellent option for the Raptors to go and consider. So that is the situation right now with the Canadian national team. They won all three of their group games. beat Latvia by 26, beat Lebanon by 55, beat France by, I believe it was 31, I think I said earlier. So what are the next steps here? 3-0 is big because right now they take that record into the next batch of games. So FIBA's kind of weird. It's not directly into like a round of 16 from the 32 teams in the group stages. They go into another mini group here where they match up with a separate group. So the first and second place of Spain's group, so it's going to be Spain and either Brazil or Cote d'Ivoire, probably Brazil there. Canada has to play Spain and Brazil, as will Latvia, who finished second in our group because they upset France the other day. Pretty crazy. Canada will play both Brazil and Spain, and then there will be seeding from that point on. So your 3-0 record carries over into the second round, and Canada could become a 5-0 team from this point, but it's going to be very difficult to beat Spain, and Brazil won't be easy as well if they are the team that Canada does play here also. So then after those two classification games, we'll then have the round of 16. I believe it is, maybe not the round of 16. Maybe they go directly into the quarterfinals from there. They do go directly into the quarterfinals from there, I believe. So it's the two classification games, then quarterfinals. But your seeding here is big, so being 3-0 is amazing. Canada right now, second highest odds to win the tournament. I believe Germany could be up there as well, but USA are still the favorites. But man, if Canada has a really good day here, if they match up with the US at any point, they can seriously go win this tournament. I know the games are really early, and I know that people watching here are Raptors fans, but the majority of us are Canadians as well. But I encourage you, the games Canada are playing are typically at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. If you're even West Coast, you can get up for 6:30. If you're Eastern time, you can definitely get yourself to a monitor, a TV to watch these games because they have been so much fun to watch. And it really is great to see the game in Canada growing so much, and success on the international scene is only going to help and elevate that. I encourage you guys to check it out because it's been such a wonderful tournament so far. So the next batch of games, September 1st and 3rd against likely Brazil, and then definitely against Spain to help classify us and hopefully get us into the quarterfinals.